Okay, so let me share my screen now. Okay, and okay, so my presentation is going to be about enhanced features that I've set up in a Sales Cloud Lightning template. And my contact information is there if you want to contact me after the presentation because you're interested in some of the techniques I used, or even better, if you're interested in buying the template, that'd be really great. Or if you're a consulting partner and you would like to use the template, also contact me. So let me just move on. So I'm going to give you a demo of the template first of all, and I'll point out some of the features that I've used enhanced features. Then I'm going to go through the benefits, and then I'm going to provide a list of how-to videos on how you can configure this, because unfortunately it would take me probably 2 or 3 hours to go through all the features of how you configure it. And unfortunately, I don't have time to do that. I have done bits and pieces of it over the last few years. So some of the videos is stuff that I've recorded. There's other videos that I'll provide links to that other people in the user community has provided in their presentations. So let me stop this and bring in my demo here. So everybody sees my my Salesforce org. I'm just going to make it bigger.
It's not there yet, Kevin. Change the screen.
It's not there yet?
We see your desktop.
We see your desktop yet.
Okay, thank you. Let me find out what I'm doing wrong. So is it over here you're seeing it?
Now it's working.
Okay, well then I'll just use it from here then. Okay, and I'm just going to increase the size of it so that it's a little more legible. Oops. Come on. Oh my God. I was hitting the command negative, the subtract key instead of the positive key or the plus key. And now my screen doesn't want to.
Just click on minus in the URL section and then resize it from there. In the URL on right side, you have magnifying glass with minus in.
Yeah.
Click on this and reset or use plus.
Thank you. I didn't know you could do that. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Okay. So the template is set up. In this version, I'm looking at it from a sales rep perspective. So this is basically just a Sales Cloud template. And all I'm trying to do here is make Salesforce easy to use. And I hate to say it, but better than what Salesforce gives you out of the box. And so what I've done here is, and by the way, the home page can be changed if you're based on your role. So for example, if you're the sales VP, you would have a total different home page than a sales rep. Or if you're a channel manager, you would have a different page. But in this particular case, just to save time and all that, I'm just going to look at it from a sales rep perspective. So the sales rep comes into their application and they see all of their opportunity data here. So these are their open opportunities. They see in the next section here all the opportunities where they're not the owner of the opportunity, but they're a team member. And so they're seeing all their opportunities where they're a team member. And then they see their opportunities where they have a open next step. So in other words, there is a field in opportunities that's it's called next step, which is basically you're defining it to define what do I need to do in this opportunity to move it forward. And so what I've done is I've taken a little step beyond just using a text field in Salesforce. I'm using a task, and I'm creating tasks to be next steps. So anyway, so here are all my opportunities where I have a next step setup meeting or whatever. So this, by the way, this is just a dev.org. Let me go back to home page. I didn't mean to click on that. Just give it a minute. Okay. Next section, I just see my overdue tasks, open tasks. So tasks that I have someone's either created for me or assigned to me, or whether I've assigned it to myself. And these are the tasks that are overdue. In other words, the date on them is before today's date. And then here are my tasks that are coming due in the next 7 days. And then I have, if I have any events in my Salesforce calendar, I would see them in this section. And then I see my accounts where I'm the owner plus my leads. And then on this side of the page, I have important messages and recent accounts, opportunities, contacts I've opened up.
Just
then I
before
have-
you move on, Kevin, this
Yeah.
task related list, let's put it on this way, is not related list standard out of box. Is it App Exchange app that you use?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch your question.
In your section for different tasks
Yes,
down on the home page, I'm just
yeah,
trying to clarify, do you use standard
Tasks.
related list, or did you use something special?
no, this is just standard related list.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. So the other thing I've done on my homepage is I've created a number of tabs. So for example, I have this thing over here where I say, here are my open next steps. But a lot of times people are saying, oh, I don't know which opportunities I have where I haven't done a next step. I don't have an open next step. So I created this little dashboard here where I'm seeing all of my opportunities, where if the subject is blank, that means there is no next steps for that opportunity. And the ones where I have a subject and a date and so on, there is a next step. And so I just put that in just recently because I was always struggling with how I could do this, because in this tab right here, these are just, by the way, all the behind the scenes, it's just a list view, opportunity list views or task list views. So anyway, so I have this other tab called My Quota Performance. So what I'm looking at here is I'm trying to understand how I'm doing against my quota. So I have it by current year, by fiscal quarter, fiscal quarter, year, fiscal quarter, and current month. And I've put in a little filter on the close date, because if I look at this year's, because it's January, more than likely it's not going to show any results. And so I decided, well, I better put in last year's, so when you're near the beginning of the year, you can see how well you did, or for purpose of the demoing, this is also kind of important to be able to demo the purpose. So anyways, so all I'm doing here is just showing how I did my revenue, and my quota is down here. So on a monthly, yearly basis, I had a 1.5 quota, and on a quarterly basis, I had 3.75, and on a monthly is 1.25. And the other thing I decided to do was, because I worked with sales guys for a long time ago, I noticed a lot of sales guys have Excel spreadsheets where they're keeping track of their commission. So I decided, well, you know what, I can give them a report that shows them, so they don't have to have an Excel spreadsheet. They can just come to their homepage and they can see how much commission they made each month. So anyway, so that's the homepage. And so if I go, for example, now let me go back to here and let me just pick a couple opportunities. So let me take the Hilton one first of all. So on the opportunity page, I've put in a lot of features here that I really like. I think they're really great. So the first thing is I use paths, opportunity create an opportunity path, and I'll go, and when I go through the pointing out how to set this up and all that, I will actually take a few minutes to explain how to set up an opportunity path, just in case you've never done that before. I think it's a really critical feature that you should use in Salesforce. But basically, the gist of the path is you identify the 5 key fields at each of the different stages that you want the salesperson to enter. So, and typically in my situation, when I'm working with a client, I'm asking the sales VP, okay, let's go through, and because I can't customize this ahead of time. It has to be customized by each customer, and it's unique to each customer. But anyway, so identify what the fields are at each of the different stages. And I also, in the guidance for success, put down bullet points of things that they need to think about or do during that stage of the opportunity. So that's one feature that's kind of neat. The other thing I've done here is that I've standardized on every object in Salesforce so that it's always looking the same. And this is great for user adoption, because then when they go into Salesforce, and especially if they're learning it, once they figure it out for one opportunity, or sorry, for one object like opportunity, they can see that it's consistent for accounts, contacts, leads, and so on and so forth. So anyway, so the format's always details. So there's all my records, or sorry, my fields for the opportunity. And then I have this section called Activity Tools, where I created a number of quick actions or global actions behind the scenes to have the salesperson do some activity related things. So for example, I'm sitting here in the proposal stage, and I want to create a next step. So I come over here and I say, okay, what is my next step? I need to set up a meeting. And then I can specify when I want to set that up. I want to do it the 26th. And who do I want to set that up with? Well, it's Abby Green. And there's, 3 simple input or data entry, and I've created an activity called Next Step. Same with sales updates. Typically for sales update meeting notes and logging calls, it's just very simple. All they are really asking the salesperson to do is just fill in the comments section of the field. So in here, they would put down the opportunity is blah, 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 and then they can just hit enter. They can choose to override the subject or the due date, but in most cases they don't, and they just click on save. So in essence, it made it really, really simple for a salesperson to track their activities if they choose to do that. I know salespeople don't like to track their activities because in Salesforce, it's hard. And if you don't have quick actions like I'm using here, they give up and they won't bother. So the other thing I've done on here is the activities related to the records that I've created. They, by default, out of the box, they show up underneath this activity section, feed section, and where it shows you this. They have 2 sections: upcoming and overdue, and then they have all of their activities by month. Now, I don't really like the format of this because, one, it doesn't really tell you, it just shows you the subject. It doesn't show you the content. Plus, what I've found over the years is that salespeople are saying, well, I just want to know what my next steps is, or I want to see the sales updates. So how I got around that is I created this activity history. And in here, I've organized the activities under the different types of activities. So you have your next steps. You can see here are my open next steps, and here are my completed next steps. And you can see a little more information about the activity without having to open each one up. Anyway, so I think you guys get the idea of what I'm trying to do here. And the next thing I've done here is just to make it so the salesperson doesn't have to jump in and out of different objects in Salesforce. I've showed account cases as one of the tabs I've chosen to use here. So if they are using the Service Cloud and they want to see if there's any open cases or closed cases for the account that they're working with, because right now I'm still in the opportunity, but now I'm looking at the Hilton account. I'm looking to see if there's any cases for the Hilton account. So here I can see my open cases and I can see my closed cases. And then the Collaborate is just a chatter. It's just a, so if I want to chat I'll use the chatter feature. And news items is just a news item feature that you can turn on to Salesforce, which basically shows me all of the Hilton related news feeds that has been picked up by Salesforce. This is one of the features that I really, really like. And it's really useful if you're using big accounts that are, they're trading on the stock. But if you're dealing with, smaller companies that might not have a news feed, then you don't need to have that feature. But if you're dealing with large customers, then this is a great feature to have. Basically, what it does is allows the salesperson to, before they call, they might want to see what's going on with Hilton's and say, oh yeah, okay, before I talk to them, I better read this article, find out something that's that might be important. The other thing I've done here on the opportunities, I've created this contact for the parent account. So I'm basically listing all of the contact records for the Hilton account. And I can choose how many I want to show on the display. I just chose 3, but if I go view all, I can see all of the different contacts for Hilton without having to jump out of the opportunity record and go to the account record and then go back into the opportunity. So basically saving me a lot of time being able to do that. And I really found that useful when I was doing activities, because if you're like me, you might forget people's names. You know who they are, but you can't remember their first name, or you can't remember the last name. So it's an easy way to come over here, find out who you have on the Hilton account, and then do your activity without having to jump in and out. This is another feature that this is actually a quick action default quick action by Salesforce that basically allows you to update the account record while you're in the opportunity while you're in the opportunity. So for example, let's say the type field on this account is not major donor, it's something else. I can come up and update the account record without having to leave the opportunity. Again, saving a lot of time for the salespeople. And then the rest of this is just the related list for opportunities. So you have contact rules, which basically tells you who the decision makers are, the business users. You have products and quotes and whatever team opportunity teams, files, and so on and so forth. These are all dependent on your Salesforce. So are any questions so far on the opportunity or the homepage? Okay, so let me then jump into the account. So the account, typically I don't have a path for an account, but I've found that some customers do have a process for accounts. So I built it into the template so that you could, if you want to use a feature like that, but you don't need to turn that on. Typically, I just have the path and it just shows you where you're at with regards to the thing. But then you can see that as I mentioned in the opportunity, the structure is the same. So you have the details tab is always the first tab. Then you have activity tools, which are, I might have the exact same quick actions or global actions in it, but I might have something different. So I've identified for accounts, these are the types of activities that I'd like to do. I have a next step. I could have meeting notes, account updates, new tasks, logging calls, events, and emails. And then the activity history is the same thing as I showed you in the opportunity, where I have it all organized under the different types of tasks there are. Account insights are kind of an interesting concept that actually I learned from one of our previous Salesforce presenters. where Brandon Wang, I'm pretty sure that's his last name, he was talking about putting putting report graphs in the object itself, because it helps people visualize the information a lot easier than if I just have this data on the opportunity. So let me just give you an example. So for example, let's say Hilton was a parent account, and then all the hotels, all the different hotels for Hilton are children accounts underneath it. So what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to show in this graph right here, the Hilton and all the children and all the opportunities, open opportunities that are out there. So I can really get a really strong overview of how well we're working this Hilton account and all its children's accounts. And then I have over here, I have some tabs where I have information based on opportunities. So here I can see my account revenue by month for the current and previous year. So I can see I'm making this much money during January of last year, and February I made this much money, and so on and so forth. So these are showing opportunity wins. And then here's showing account revenue by product and product family. So I have the product family here, and then I have the different products here. So you can see that this Hilton is doing a lot of diesel generation business with this particular. And then here are the influencers. So here are who are the people that are at Hilton that are the key people in the different opportunities. I can see that Abby has been very, very critical to a lot of the opportunities as a business unit or a decision maker, or as an evaluator, executive sponsor, I should say. And then I have this section where I'm looking at all the opportunities for just the Hilton account, but broken down by the pipeline, what stages they're at. And then on over here, this is just the related list. So you have the contacts, you got the opportunities, and so on and so forth. Any questions on that? Okay. So then the collaborating account news is kind of neat because it will allow me to see all the different account news for Hilton. Okay, so let me move to the next one I want to talk about. So let's just look at the contacts really quickly. So one of the things I wanted to point out on the contact is it's the same format as I showed you for the account and opportunity. But what I did in the contact header part of the I think it's called the highlight panel or the compact layout, is I put all the email addresses in the compact layout, so that I want to see the different email address. I just click on that little down and I can see that he has 2 email addresses, and he has how many phone numbers? He has 2 phone numbers. So it's just a way of finding information out without having to go through the details pages, especially if you're on a different tab, you're not on the detail tab, you can still see all that information without having to switch back to the tab. And I've got some other tabs here that I've created. I'm not just going to skip over just to save time. I don't think there's a lot of value. The other thing I've done here is from the contact record, I can also update the account record here too. And then this is just the related list. And leads are the same type of idea. I take a lead right here. I have the same look and feel, so I can have multiple phone numbers. I have the activity and activity history. And then included in the template is I include a number of dashboards. So I'll just show you one dashboard. So in this dashboard right here, let me just refresh the dashboard. So I'm showing my yearly won opportunities versus the quota. So here here's my opportunity revenue, and here's the quota for each of the different salespersons. And then this is annual or yearly, and this is quarterly, and this is monthly. And then I have opportunities that are remaining to close this quarter. And then I have opportunities that are, again, it's just a report of which ones are in the bidding stage. So negotiation, depending on what stages you are, you can customize this to be whatever you want it. And here's the ones that I've won in the last 12 months and the ones that I've lost in the last 12 months. And then I have forecasted expected revenue by fiscal quarter. So I find this is a really interesting graph because it basically tells me, gives me a snapshot picture of how I'm doing and whether I'm going to have issues. And it's a situation like this tells me that I have a big spike in Q4 of 2021, but in 2022, the first quarter looks okay, but I don't have any opportunities that are expected to close in the future quarters. And then I have open pipeline report or graph, and then here are opportunities for the last 30 days, any opportunities where I chose to close it because I've decided I don't want to do business. And then I have open opportunities by amount. So it's just showing the opportunities by the highest dollar value to the lowest, and open opportunity by stage, and then opportunities by account, opportunities by sales rep, opportunities with no next step, and then leads, open leads, and then I have some activity type graphs in here. So that's basically what the template is. It consists of. And so what I'm going to do is go back to my
Happy to take a question.
Sure, yes, please.
So I'm seeing all that wonderful sales summary information there. You just showed in that last set of stats or charts. Anyways, from that, is there some easy click you can do to say, here's the priority of tasks you should go to try and pursue these? Is that somewhere else?
No, I don't have that. That's actually a good idea.
Right, because that's great information. But even any senior guy is going to say, okay, what do we do now to go after this stuff? And where is
that's
that?
usually, well, that's usually next step. And,
yeah. Okay.
And the next step is there is graphs for that.
Okay, but that next step looks like it's across sales reps, across various accounts, across your highest.
Oh, yeah, okay. So
where does it prioritize? Say, okay, we want to go after the highest thing right now. I just want the number one. How do I quickly identify that?
Okay, well, I don't know if I've done that, but the way I would handle that is I would just pick the salesperson. If I'm a salesperson, I'll just look at myself and just say, okay, and then I would look at my next steps.
Right, that works for
that would address that. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that's close.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so from a benefits perspective, I was trying to say the benefits as I was going along, but I might have missed some. So I put a number of lists of benefits that I could see from using this template. So the most important one from a Salesforce administrator is all of this is 100% declarative tools. I'm not using any Apex, not any Visual Force pages. I'm using all out of the box Salesforce tools, or I'm using some components from Salesforce Labs on the App Exchange, which are free apps. And anyways, so the benefit to the administrators is if you know what you're doing in Salesforce, you can configure this. It's not difficult. So it's easier and faster for the Salesforce administrator. They can customize it. They don't need to have a lot of programming skills. Obviously, they have to understand how to do the configuration. Otherwise, they'd be lost. But so if the homepage, I've customized the homepage around different user roles, which allows the users to see the key information they need to do their job in a more efficient way. And I have a video, which I won't show you the video, but I have a link to the video on my few slides down. It's the first video in my list. How do you customize the home page? I use standardized Lightning page on all key objects, thus making it more intuitive and easier to use. And also it improves user adoption, because if you see each page is consistent, then it's easier for the person than as if they use a different, for example, let's say they go to contacts and they've never been to contacts before. They say, oh yeah, I know how to use this. Or I'm in counts, I know how to use this, because it's all the same thing. Use standard, okay, and then I use paths. So I'm going to show you how to do that in a few minutes, but I really like this feature. And actually Fred in our last meeting actually showed us some other techniques that I probably will eventually implement in this dev org, where you're using step ways for the user. You want them to do this, 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 and this, which is a really neat feature that Salesforce has added recently. Continue on. I'm using global actions and object-based quick actions to make it very easy and intuitive for the user to generate opportunity and account-related activities with a lot less clicks and data entry. And I have a video on how to create a quick action and how to put it on the page. I use the activity history tab that allows the users to quickly review the opportunity and account-related activity history in an easy and organized format. And I have this feature that I'm doing for this one, the activity history tab, is I'm using a Salesforce Lab component called CMDT, Enhanced Related List. And it's a free component that you can get from the App Exchange. And it allows you to do the things that I was showing you on the thing, so that you can organize your related list in a format. I also use the enhanced related CMDT enhanced related list in a number of places in my template. And then I have, I didn't show this part, so let me just grab one opportunity here. Let me just push this here. Go back to the home page. So I'm just looking for a date. Here's one right here. So any opportunities where the date is less than today's date, the close date is less than today's date, I put symbols in here, a stop symbol basically telling them that they need to update their close date, or I give them warnings saying there's no next step. So anyway, so I'm basically using rich text component with a stop or yield symbol to provide a visual heads up warning that the user needs to take actions. And I have a video on how to do that. It's a really short video. That's a really easy thing to do. I added the contact lists to the opportunity page to make it easier and faster for the user to find or add new contacts without having to jump to the account page. And I created a video on how you can do that. I've also added report charts to the account insight tab on the account page, which allows the user to better visualize their opportunity data. And I have a video on how to do that, or identify the video on how to do that. And I've been using icons or little symbols. So you probably noticed this, but I will point it out. So everything has a little icon beside it. And the reason for that is that people tend to see a symbol and know exactly what they have to do without having to read it. So it makes it faster. It's a better user experience for the users in general. So I mentioned on the account page and also on the opportunity page, I use this news component in Lightning to show all the information about any article, news article that Salesforce picks up in their feed. And basically what the benefit to the sales rep is it gives them the current news articles without them having to step out of Salesforce, do a search on their account to see if anything's happening in their account. On the compact layout thing, one of the things I've done is I put all the email and phone numbers on the contact and lead page so that when they are in a contact record like this, they can see the emails and they can see all the phone numbers all at one point. And then the dashboard basically improves the measurability and reporting of sales teams' key performance indicators that both management and sales reps use. And I have a video on how to create a dashboard from a classic dashboard. So if you have a number of dashboards that you're using, they're developed in classic and you want to convert it to Lightning, then this video will help you with that. So from the perspective of, let me go back here to, so I just wanted to see where I said I would show you, okay, paths. So let me talk about paths just quickly here. So if I'm in the configuration, so I go over here to setup. Let me explain what I'm trying to do here. So I take an opportunity like Cisco, and I'm talking about how to set this part up in Salesforce. So how do you do that in Salesforce is to do the setup and type in paths in the quick find. Go under path settings, and then you're presented with an opportunity to create a new path, or if you already have paths, you can edit your paths. So in my particular case, here's the one that I'm using for this, for the demo. It's this one right here. So I can edit it and you can see how I've done this. So I give it an opportunity, a path name, the object, the record type it's associated with, and the field in the opportunity that it's going to be based on. And then the next step is just basically, it shows you all the different stages, the thing, and you're just here identifying the fields that you can add. You can add up to 5 fields. And so you can move fields in and out. It's really easy. And a guidance for success is just a rich text field that you can use to identify the information that should be done at each of the different stages. So basically what I do is I just come through each of the different stages and I create the fields and the guidance to success until I get to the end. And then I just implement it. I can implement it and just say finish. So that's how you do the paths. So let me go back here. Let's see what else I said I would talk about because I don't have videos. So I didn't have a video on paths, so I did that one. Okay, news articles. So how you do news, and I don't have a video on how to do the compact layout. And so let me explain that. So what I'm talking about here is if I'm, it's this right here. How do I configure that? So to do that, it's really, really simple. It's a 5-second job. You come into setup while you're on the opportunity page, and then you click on edit object. And then, oops, sorry. Let me go back. It's not edit object, it's edit page. You could do it through the edit object, but the page is the way you should, the fastest way to do it. So I've created a tab called news items. And over here, what I've done is I just went over to, there's a component called news, which is right there. And all I've done is just drag it into there, and that's it, it's configured. There's nothing else you can do. The only thing you can do is you can put some filters on whether you show it or not show it to the users. So I'm just going to delete that and get out of this page. Well, actually, the other thing I wanted to show was, yes, I do want to get out of there. So if I'm in the contact record or a lead record and I want to add the multiple email addresses or the phone numbers, the way you do that is you come over here to the contact record. This time you edit the object, and then you go to the compact layout, which is down over here. And you take your compact layout that you're using, and which all you're doing here is just editing it and adding all the phone numbers and email addresses that are on the contact record here. So I've already done it. I have email, I have other email, and then I have all the phone numbers. But if there was another phone number in here, I would just keep dragging it in. And anyway, so that's how you do that. So getting back to the benefits, let's see here, just a second here. The dashboard. So I have a video on that, and but I do want to take a minute because a lot of people have asked me how I did one thing, and I thought that I would take the time to explain it. So in the dashboard right here, let me just go to this dashboard. People said, oh, I really like the way you're showing the dollar amount to your quota for that year. And so how I did that report is, it's just a simple report. But what I've done is, if I go to, so I'm using two features. I'm using the forecast component of Salesforce, or forecast object. And whether the user actually does collaborative forecasting or not, they can still add their quota in for each year. And it's a tedious task. It's not a simple task, but it is a way where you can enter your quota for each of the months, or the way you've set it up. You could do by quarter or month. Or so basically what you do is you go into setup and you type in forecast, and then you go under forecast quota. And then over here, then you can choose the period. So I want to pick February. And then I wanted the opportunity, forecast type is opportunity revenue. And I can then say show the quotas for February. And then I can update the quotas for each of the people for that month. And then I can switch it to March, and so on and so forth. So that's a way of entering your quota data into Salesforce. And the other thing I've done is on the user record, I created a couple of custom fields where I'm showing my current fiscal year revenue quota and my current fiscal quarter revenue quota and my current month. So if I'm not using the forecasting module, I can also use some custom fields in the user record to generate that type of report too. So that's the trick behind doing that. So with regards to videos and all that, so if you want to know how to customize the homepage, there's a video. All you do is just click on that link, and that will take you to a YouTube video that I created. There's a YouTube video creating on how to use the contacts, so moving the contacts into the opportunity. So I try to put, let me just blow this up. I try to put a picture so that you can visualize what I'm trying to get. So I'm using this related lists single component to be able to add the contacts into the opportunity. And over here, the CMD enhanced related list lightning component. As I said before, it's a component that's on the App Exchange. It's a Salesforce Lab, so it's free. This video is probably around half an hour long. It is very detailed. The information that you get when you download the component is, to be honest with you, is really difficult to understand. Sometimes it takes 2 or 3 reads through to understand it. So what I've done is I've created a YouTube video that goes through all the steps you need to do it. Anyways. On how to add a step. Which screen are you seeing now? Are you seeing the presenter's slide or the full screen slide?
Looks like the presenter slide.
Okay.
Yeah, we see the primary screen on the left and your notes to the right.
Okay. Okay, it doesn't matter. Okay. So anyways, on this one right here is how to add report charts. So remember I said on the account page, there is a tab I called Account Insights, and then I've added a report a report chart in the page, and that's this video will go through that. And this is one of the videos that Brandon had presented back many months ago in one of our user group meetings. So if you go to this link, then you have to fast forward till you get to the 1 hour, 20 minutes and 21 seconds. And then he goes through all the steps to do this. And how to add these icons. Brandon also talks about it in the same meeting, the meeting recording at the 1 hour and 28 minutes part of the video. And then I have a dashboard, a video on how to create a lightning dashboard from an old classic. So that covers everything that I wanted to cover. Is there any other questions or questions you have that would be helpful?
A real basic one.
Sure.
I was out there in the Salesforce trying to look at the App Exchange, trying to find your template. I couldn't see it readily leap out at me.
Yeah, that's a good point. Thank you for asking that.
So
I am,
if you can have something there that says, hey, this is how you find and get this, or whatever the details.
yeah, unfortunately, I haven't put it on the App Exchanges.
Okay.
To do this is a little more involved, because typically when you get something from the App Exchange, you push a button, it loads into your org and it works. Well, my template has to be configured. So sometimes it takes me a week, sometimes it takes me 2 weeks to configure the template in a user environment, depending on a whole slew of things, their user requirements, whether I have to do it in the dev org, or sorry, into the sandbox and then into their different dev orgs. It all depends on their structure. So it's more complicated. I am planning to do it, but I'm taking my time doing it because I'm trying to figure out what is the best way to do it. And hopefully over the years, I'll get some smart developer that might be able to point me into the direction on how I can make it so that it customizes it completely on its own. But I don't know how to do that myself. So I did mention Maurizio talking about LinkedIn. I did have an interesting story. Back in November, I was talking to Maurizio and I was telling them what I was planning to put this template on the App Exchange. And he had suggested I talk to this guy in Germany, one of his contacts that he knew from his Germany days. And this guy's name was Johan Furman. And so I connected with him in LinkedIn, and I talked to him for 15 minutes at the very, very most. 15 minutes. I just told him about what I was trying to do. And I said, I'll send you a link with a 5-minute YouTube video of the app. Anyway, so the next morning he had reviewed the video of the YouTube app, and he sent out a LinkedIn post to all his 500 plus connections And that morning I had like 125 emails of people commenting on the app. And I said, wow, as an old man like me, I said, well, I didn't appreciate how much LinkedIn could use for networking and getting a point across. So that was one thing that a success story that I could share with you about using LinkedIn.
What do you think was like the big attention grabber? Like, why do you think people were so interested in, and like, what kind
Well,
of candidates were they seeing?
almost everybody commented about, they love the ideas of the icons on the page layouts. The user experience, just making it more sexier and easier to use. They really liked that. A lot of people commented about how I thought through the process, and I captured ways to make it from a user experience, a sales rep. This is how they can use Salesforce so that it's easy for them to use. That was the two biggest ones.
Nice. That's an amazing story. Use the network, get your stuff
Thank
out
you,
there,
because
get your
you're
stuff
the
out
one that
there.
initiated that.
Amen. You came up with it all. I just made the connection. So that's
Yeah.
all you have to do sometimes. Find the right people, get your ideas out there, and you'd be surprised the amount of collaboration that comes back in ways that you can't even imagine. Really, it can happen in so many ways. Good stuff. Love
Yeah.
that.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, so then what I'm going to do is I have a couple just let me find it in my. Okay. So if I'm showing the wrong screen, anyways, it doesn't matter. So anyways, I wanted to thank Mauricio for your presentation and joining us today. I didn't know you were going to stay on all the whole time. But anyways, thank you. And with regards to next meetings, so we have a meeting in February. We decided it's going to be, we sent out a survey. Yu Wang had sent this survey out a couple of months ago in the fall, and we asked people about meeting times, meeting dates, and all that. So we tried to try different meeting dates and times. So we're going to have a meeting on Tuesday at between 3 and 5. Yu Wang will be the person running that. So if you have a topic that you'd like to talk about, please reach out to you or myself, and I'll pass it on to you. And then on Thursday, March the 24th, we're going to have a meeting at noon hour, our typical time. Nash is going to run that one. Again, if you have a presentation that you would like to do, then let us know. I think Nash already has some presentations lined up, or he's pretty close to lining those up. And then go ahead, Nash.
March 1 is going to be more technical. Panaya company will tell us about some of things, how you can monitor Salesforce configuration and react on mail functions and things like that. And one of our local members is going to talk about Lightning Web Components that he developed for Flow, for customer service, and a nice approach how he was standardizing this and delegated to end users, champions to creating some of forms, like form builder for business needs, things like that. But we try to mix agenda with different level of technical knowledge. Then this one is going to be more technical, but I believe very interesting to see what we can do now with flows and a little more coding behind it.
So I noticed, thanks, Nash. I noticed, Chris, are you still online here? You're listening in?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, good. One of the things in our Salesforce user group co-leader meeting we talked about was, I don't know if you have any success stories among the public sector but if you do, we'd like to be able to bring a couple, over 2022, a couple customers, public, what do you call it?
Public sector.
Yeah,
Public
I've got
sector
lots.
projects that have been implemented and have been successful. So that's what I meant at the very beginning of the presentation is, that's what I was going to contact you about, is if there's something out
Yeah,
there.
I
that-
can showcase some that directly affect everybody on this call as well too.
I bet you it's all COVID related.
Nope,
No,
a lot of
Okay.
it, but nope.
okay, okay. So if, I know Yu Wang in the February meeting, I think he's got one presentation, but I think he's still looking for a second. So if you have something that you think could be done in February, then definitely reach out to us and we'll get you on the plate for that. Anyways, then in April, we're going to do a Friday meeting, which I don't think we've done a Friday meeting in probably 10 years. So it'll be at 9 o'clock in the morning, which is the time that I started the very first Salesforce user meeting was actually on a Friday at 9 to 11. So we're going to try that time slot again too. So I'm also looking for speakers. And I think that's it. So you guys, we thank you for attending, and we look forward to seeing you guys in February.
Before we
Any
separate,
questions?
yeah,
Go ahead, Nash.
I just want to say it's not yet goodbye. We have 9 minutes more. If anybody has anything that he would like to discuss, any
Yes.
challenges or ask questions or things like that, feel free to speak up. Somebody from group may be able to help you.
Something that came across my mind, if I can throw this out, it's not, but at a future presentation, it looks like, Kevin, you put in a lot of thought into creating what you think is a good interface to help people improve their utilization and success through Salesforce. I'm assuming almost every company has some kind of interface that they've created for that purpose. And I was thinking it'd be kind of interesting to see different people who are actively in companies using Salesforce, what their creations look like and how they compare and how they relate. That's just what came to mind as I was watching that.
Kevin, you can stop recording.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
trying
this-
to. I was
this
trying to
is-
do that, and I don't know if I stopped it or not.
Okay.
Okay, just keep going though.
So this is great idea. This is what we are trying to do with our members to give them opportunity to do their own showcase, how they use Salesforce, what they found interesting, how they approach the different business challenges and things like that. And we are always open